Hello, Mr. Strickard. I am pleased to introduce you today. You are co-founder of the YouTube channel, Christians Live Vegan. Their channel is known in some countries far beyond Europe. How did you come to start this channel?
Among Christians, there is often a great discrepancy between spirit, soul, and body. The more I live holistically, the way my Creator created me, the more intense my relationship with Him becomes. In the course of my life I have experienced it myself and would like to pass on my experiences to others. The Bible opens up to me again and again, not as a theoretical book, but quite practically in my everyday life. I would like to share these new perspectives with you via the YouTube channel. As a vegan theologian, I work independently of a church or Christian organizations. I earn my own money so as not to be theologically dependent on donors for what I can and cannot say theologically. I was influenced by my parents, who were active in the church and missionary. My father founded Christian communities. I grew up in this environment, where I automatically came into contact with the Christian faith. When I was 11 years old, I was baptized as a sign that I believed in Jesus Christ, the Messiah. A few years later, I held my first devotions. Soon after, I founded my own Christian theater group. It was a pleasure for me to interpret the Bible and to present it vividly, close to everyday life through various methods. Even then, I thought a lot about mind, soul, and body. In my family, I also witnessed many theological disputes. My father, as a mission leader, knew exactly what was biblically wrong or right. We were the gifted ones of God who had the knowledge of the truth. It was precisely because of this that a discrepancy between theory and practice developed more and more in me. On the one hand, I heard the words from the pulpit, but life at home at the dinner table often did not coincide with them. I also saw this contradiction in my life. Over the course of more than 50 years, I discovered more and more areas that did not agree with theological and biblical doctrine. Grace, love, life, judgment, hell, and salvation are interpreted differently within the Bible. The elders, pastors, priests, and rectors dictate what is to be believed through their own basic faith courses. Woe to him who does not submit to opinion. He is then no longer given responsibility and is excluded from the circles. Interestingly, often the sermons I gave had been positively received by the congregation, but less so by the leadership. There is a hierarchical structure in many congregations. The scribes and elders are guardians of the church. At the same time, I saw how many of these guardians of the truth burned out inwardly because they were overwhelmed with this task. The living, childlike faith in Jesus Christ is lost. Not only that, but also some of the members. It is time to carry out Martin Luther's Reformation not only on the spiritual level, but in all areas of life. This, however, deprives the spiritual rulers of their tools to decide whether grace may also be granted to their members. Even at Wartburg Castle, where Martin Luther translated the Bible into German, an Anabaptist was thrown into the dungeon for years. Not to mention the religious wars, blessings of arms, and so on, and immediately.
What does all this have to do with veganism?
A lot of what I have disguised over the years.
Singing about God's love on Sundays, listening to sermons, and then eating a dead animal at lunch without empathy and compassion does not fit in with the message of the gospel. This separation of the areas of mind, soul, and body has also been strongly promoted in medicine and business in recent years, with fatal consequences that are becoming more and more visible. Unfortunately, this trend has often been strongly supported by Christians as well. Medicinal herbs, positive thinking, individualism, the uniqueness of the individual human being were ignored and associated from many Christian circles. But if we were to take the Bible seriously, these are biblical foundations for obeying Jesus' supreme commandment to practice love. God did not create man as a robot, but as a free personality. Only free personalities are not controllable and harm the collective, according to the thought patterns of many. Jesus upset this system of values. This is evident in the Sermon on the Mount. Jesus did not exercise power to turn the population into subjects, to enslave them. Through the eating habits of those who eat meat, the ideas of exercising power over animals are trained until they are burned into the subconscious of the individual. Therefore, this behavior is considered normal. In addition, the inhibition threshold for exercising power vis-a-vis the people is rapidly decreasing. We clearly see how wars are promoted in order to enforce one's own claim to power. In Christian circles, those who think differently or are called sectarians without seeing them as God's creatures are despised. But if we look closely at each individual Christian, many have their own spiritual books, preachers, prophets where they are directed. Sometimes it seems to me like a competition among Christians to see who storms the top of the charts. If I'm a fan of the upper charts, I'm in demand, but the lower ones less so. Nothing against it, but love must not be missing. Even the 10 Commandments are just a tool, as is the Bible. If everyone loved as Jesus showed us, we wouldn't need the 10 Commandments. Through love, we would not steal, kill, or commit adultery from our neighbor. The message of Jesus' resurrection spread rapidly through the early Christians, despite, or perhaps even because of, the fact that they did not yet have a sophisticated theological interpretation in the New Testament. They lived the gospel of Jesus according to the Gospel of John chapter 13 verses 34 to 35, where Jesus said to his disciples, "I give you a new commandment, that you love one another. As I have loved you, you also must love one another. By this everyone will know that you are my disciples, that you have love for one another."
But when love grows cold, we need more and more rules and laws, which are then legally circumvented again, as in society, until a new law closes this gap again. We can draw parallels with certain Christian circles that do the same.
Thank you for your detailed explanation. When did you study theology? And what about family?
After my first vocational training, I completed my theological studies in 1997. My wife and I have grown-up children who have been married for a long time.
At the end of our conversation, Mr. Strickert, can you briefly summarize your concerns with a few sentences?
Our concern as a Christians Live vegan team is to be a guide to Jesus, the Messiah, who is life and love. The step to his Creator must be taken by each individual himself. This is a personal individual relationship that takes place in different ways. This relationship with the Creator leads to freedom, peace, love, and all that the human heart desires. Therefore, they live not only in the spirit with the love of Jesus, but also with the soul in their body. To this end, we would like to provide them with assistance and grow in it ourselves.